Welcome to Wisdom Woman podcast. I believe that is in constant change and growth, not in perfection, that we find happiness. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking with top performance professionals about tools, techniques, new ideas on how to develop your communication skills, use your creative thinking, be a team player, manage your tasks like a pro, be motivated, become an expert on relationships, and a problem solver. Everything you need to be 5 stars in all areas of your life. My intention is to help you develop your skills and find balance between your professional and personal life. My name is Bettina Meyer-Flug, and I hope I can be your trusted advisor. Change is possible and change can be good. It's very highly said that nothing in life is permanent except change. Change is almost inevitable, and one of the most prominent changes that we experience every second of the day is time itself. We grow up, meet new people in our life, lose loved ones along the way, and we move to different places during our lifetime. Myself, I'm moving right now to Australia. Since change is unavoidable, you might as well learn how to embrace it. Once you do that, you learn that change often brings a lot of new opportunities and experiences that are actually good for us. I've been living in the United States for 6 years. Now I'm getting ready to live in Australia. And I'm very open to what this change will bring to me. So today we're going to share an amazing story that will help you understand that all the changes are possible and all the changes are for good. We invited Angela Morris to share her story to inspire us to our change, to embrace the change. Angela Morris is a certified mindset transformation coach. She's a mother of 4 amazing children, and they are the reason behind everything she does. Angela's mission is to banish limit beliefs, one beautiful woman at a time, by sharing her life story with others. She does this in the hopes that this will help women realize that absolutely anything is possible, regardless of the circumstances they are facing. She wants to lead by example and encourage others to tap into their limitless potential and embody the woman they truly want to be. Angela's own life experience has empowered her to be a champion for all women. She's an advocate for survivors of trauma, especially those who have survived domestic violence. Angela's own life experience has empowered her to be a champion for all women. She's an advocate for survivors of trauma, especially those who have survived domestic violence, sexual exploration, addiction, and mental health issues. Her journey to become a life coach has not been easy, but she has courageously endured extreme situations to understand that you will never embody the highest version of yourself without first believing that mindset is everything. Thanks for being here with us today, sharing your story, Angela.
Thank you for having me, beautiful. I appreciate you.
So, Angela, why don't we start telling your amazing journey to become a coach? How was that experience? And where
Oh
did
my
you start it?
oh my goodness. So my life has been I guess somewhat of a roller coaster. I have spent the last 2 decades basically self-destructing. It started out from a small young age. From the outside looking in, I had everything going for me, I guess. But there was some childhood trauma in there that led into my early adult teenage years, where I learned very quickly that I didn't have any self-worth. I didn't have any self-esteem. I was very much a people pleaser. I would do anything to try to help people, but I didn't realize that I was sacrificing myself to do that, which led me into abusive relationships. The childhood issues I was dealing with, just neglect and whatnot, led me to start drinking from a very young age. So I started drinking when I was 12. And that carried on for 30 years, 30 plus years. And those relationships, I allowed the abuse because I just felt that's all I was worth. I didn't feel I was worth any more than that, than to accept behavior like that. So I absolutely condoned it. In 2001, I had lost my father very suddenly. And then in 2003, I had lost my fiance. And that, having him pass away like that, in front of me, just led me to spiral into severe mental health issues, which back then, there was no help. When I did reach out for help, I was I was turned away. I was I was judged, and yeah, it was horrifying, and it was humiliating, because at the time also I had been groomed and led into a life of sexual exploitation, which at the time, talking about it now, it's easier for me now. I don't have the shame and guilt behind it that I did before, because I was embarrassed of my past and felt that somehow I I chose it, I allowed it, so I must have wanted it. So it was extremely difficult to open up and talk about it. Um, there was an attempt on my own life, um, which led me to obviously still being here. God's grace, I'm still here, which I'm very fortunate for. My kids, I've got four amazing kids, who, they are the reason why I do everything I do, especially my daughter, to be able to work with women in this capacity, which then bred Embody Her, to start coaching. And I chose coaching over therapy and psychology because I am coaching women to move forward from where they currently are. I want to help them progress and move forward, instead of going backwards, if that makes sense. So that is what led up to all of this.
That's wonderful. I remember when we were prepping for this podcast, you mentioned about your childhood. The expectations your parents had on you were really high and you were constantly disappointing them. Can you go back on that time and explain how did you react to all this pressure of being the perfect child and what happened on that time?
Yes. Well, I was a minister's daughter. So right up until 11, 12 years old, I fit that description. I went to church. I was a good girl. I didn't step out of line. Things that went on in the house that now looking back, I can see were extremely dysfunctional. I just looked at it as it was normal. And I well, I don't blame my parents at all. I love my parents. They did the best they could with what they knew at the time. Um, but it was difficult because inside I was just, screaming for attention. And I guess I chose to get that attention by acting out being bad. Well, bad, right? So I didn't do well in school, even though I was extremely smart. I was very intelligent. I got that from my teachers, but I couldn't focus in school. I gravitated towards the wrong people that just led me down a path of just the drinking, doing drugs, skipping school, just not really wanting to participate in society's way of life, I guess. The expectations my parents had of me: you go to school, you get good grades. And then I almost felt dumb. Like, well, I can't do this. Like everyone else is doing it, but I can't do that. So I just must be stupid. And then I reacted out of anger. So that hurt, led to me just acting out and lashing out and being angry.
Mhm. And how does use of drugs and drinking led you to the sexual, how can I say, not behavior, but using sex as a tool to survive? How this led to one thing led to another?
Yes, I was very hypersexual from a young age. So I'm still actually, there's still some parts of my very, very young childhood I'm still working on and dealing with. But I always viewed myself as, well, I'm just promiscuous. I guess that's what Angela does. That's what I do. And then dating, dating the person that I later married, I was introduced to a certain lifestyle, which involved um, escorting. And then doing that, and then it was a choice. I chose to do it. I did it in fear of, my God, if I don't do it, he's not going to want to be with me, which sounds absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not trying to place blame on anyone other than taking ownership for myself of what I was doing. But then it turned into that, and giving away my power to, oh my God, now I'm divorced. Well, in the process of getting a divorce. And oh my God, what am I going to do? I had 2 kids by the time I was 21, just babies, back to back, barely a year apart. So I tried working like legitimate jobs, and having my kids at daycare at like 5 and 6 a.m. and then leaving them there all day to pick them up. It was so exhausting. And I didn't have any help per se. So I just did what I thought I knew best to do. And that was that. I continued on doing that.
And when you had the click that you could make a change in your life, and how did you started this change? You said you had a lot of people rejecting you because your lifestyle, they didn't want to support you. You look into nonprofits, and even asking for support, you didn't get the respect as a human being. How was that?
Oh my God, it was awful. I carried that experience with me, being turned away when I actually went to receive help, because I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore. It was awful. It was humiliating, that experience. It ruined relationships for me. I couldn't look at men the same. I was just disgusted with them. I was disgusted with myself. So having somebody who was in a position to be able to help me look at me and laugh and turn me away, I was broken, absolutely devastated. And to be totally honest, Bettina, it wasn't until my late 30s where I was fired from a job in 2019, and it devastated me because I really thought I was going somewhere with it. In hindsight, now I could see why it had to have happened. It's all a part of my journey. But that fueled the drinking even more. And I had no intention. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to stop drinking. I'm going to pursue coaching. I'm still going to do it, but I thought I was going to do it on Angela's terms. And no, the universe, God works in mysterious ways, because I had some health issues where I literally thought I was dying. I thought, okay, this is it. My body's shutting down. And that was scary. Oh, that was scary. Because I was forced into this change that I wouldn't have necessarily taken myself at that time. So it was very necessary to me, looking back. It was at that time that I needed to make a drastic change, because it was at that moment I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking. I stopped everything, and then shifted my whole focus on my mindset and how unhealthy I was as a woman, and how unhealthy my mindset was. And that is where the change began.
But it's really hard for people to get rid of addiction. How did you start this process of getting rid of this addiction for 30 years of drinking? Was a decision? You had some help? How did you get out of it?
That is it's scary, it's overwhelming. And just for me personally, just my story, man, I went through it alone. I didn't reach out for help. I did not take any medication. I didn't go to any meetings. The fear of how my body felt, going in and out of emergency. I had to call 911 to my house, like heart palpitations. I thought I was having a heart attack. all these things because I was always masked. Since I was 11, 12 years old, I had been drinking or doing drugs of some kind. So of course I felt anxiety. Of course I felt panic, but because I was always in a medicated state, I never felt it to this extent. So to feel it at this extent, and I've been through a lot in my life, and this scared me. So it was a choice where I'm going to get well by any means necessary. I literally changed how I ate, how I thought. It was beginning to research and educate myself and do those things. And there were days where I was curled up in a fetal position in bed, just shaking, couldn't control my heart, wondering if I was going to wake up if I fell asleep. And each day passed, and I just got better as each day passed. And I can't explain it. And I tread very lightly when I tell my story, because there's no one size fits all prescription for everybody. My journey is just my journey. So whatever worked for me might not work for someone else. And it was just my decision that, hey, you know what? I now have a son who struggles with his own addiction. I'm going to lead by example. I have a daughter now. My other children, all four of them, they're looking up to me. So I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to honor my life because my life is valuable. And it took me forever to realize that, but it was a scary journey to go through. But I had to go it alone. I went it alone, and I just, sometimes I look back and think, wow, how did I do that? How did I
You
do
mentioned it was
that?
this aha moment, this big decision, but also something important you mentioned was the change of routine. What did you change in your
Yes.
routine to keep up with that? Was, the positive inputs you put in your life? What changes you made when you took the decision to stop drinking?
Yes. Oh my goodness. And this is why coaching has fell into this, because it was, and it still is, will always be a privilege to connect with other women. So I started opening up about more and more about myself with other women who I noticed were going through similar things, but were coming to me for guidance. So it was that where I thought, no, I'm leading with intention and integrity first and foremost. So even though I was going through what I was going through at home, I was showing up for other people, which was, oh my God, such a help. It was such a huge help. Again, I had to change everything I was eating. So I cut out, I went through the whole thing, gluten, dairy, all of it, because I'm a woman of a particular age. I'll be 45 this October. So my hormones, right, are shifting too, right? Also at this time, I was almost about 200 pounds, and I'm 5'3". So I lost 55 pounds. And that was a huge literal weight lifted off me. But it opened up confidence, and it was able to help me shift how I thought and viewed myself. It was getting up at a certain time and being consistent, even when I didn't want to be. I just had somebody ask me, how do you always stay motivated? And it's, well, I'm not always motivated, but it's that discipline behind the willpower that I will never be a victim again. I will never fall short again. And I just want to show up as my best self. Yes, for myself, but I honor my clients that way and my life.
And then you learn how to live with your own wounds, didn't you?
Yes. It's not easy. I can say the last 2.5 years have been years of exceptional growth. And I didn't even realize that. I actually had to have someone else address that to me, because I was very hard on myself. And now I look at it as, you know what? I am perfectly imperfect, and I'm okay with that. I am masterpiece and a work in progress all at the same time. And I say that to women often, because we can be so incredibly hard on ourselves. And it's just taking it one day at a time. And all I know is I get asked that, how do you know you won't drink again? How do you know? As sure as I know I'm breathing this air is as sure as I know I will never have a drink again, because I, one, yes, honor myself, but I honor what I'm doing, and it is a privilege to me to continue doing it.
I hear in your voice a lot of humbleness and gratefulness as well in everything that you're saying. How do you think those two um, like ways of acting in life can help people being humble and grateful?
Oh my goodness. It took me forever. Oh, Bettina, if you knew me 10 years ago, I've always been this Angela, empathetic, compassionate, caring. But then circumstances like turned me into hateful and angry and hurt, like just hurt. So now that I've become who I always was inside, but I'm flourishing now as this woman. Gratitude, I can't, it's almost weird to explain. I wake up with gratitude. I go to bed with gratitude because life is so precious, and it's crazy how blind I was before. I was that woman. You could give me 100 solutions. I'm going to give you 1,000 problems. Like there was just that kind of negative, toxic way of thinking. So now to be able to look back and think, oh my goodness, like I'm on this wonderful podcast with this phenomenal woman sharing my story that I was once ashamed of and embarrassed of. How could I not be grateful for that? You know, and it's humbling to me. Sometimes I have to catch myself. I always ask God to continue to bless me so I could be a blessing to other people, and I mean that sincerely. So gratitude is life changing. Life changing.
I totally agree. When I teach people how to do the morning routine and evening routine, gratefulness is always inside of it. And it's how you
Yes.
set the tone of your day, how you set the tone whenever you go sleep. And this only attracts better things for you to be grateful for, even more things. But let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about the trauma, loss, grief, and healing. How did you manage trauma of losing someone that you really loved? This is a challenge that a lot of people have sometimes as well.
Yes. I did not. So back then, so my dad passed in 2001. My fiance passed in 2003. Back then, I didn't deal well. How I coped was always drinking. And I honestly didn't feel I had a problem because unless I wanted you to know I was under the influence, you wouldn't know. So as silly as that sounds, I would pride myself on that. So I never looked at it. I was functioning, if you will. The kids had perfect attendance. My life was what it was. And to me, I had no problem. So now going forward to being this different, healthy person, coping now is, my gosh, journaling, which I would have scoffed at before. People had said that to me when I had reached out for coaching at the beginning of this, like, Angela, you should journal more. And I thought, oh, what is that going to do? Oh my God, it does wonders because I'm able to go back and see just how far I've come, like just even thought patterns, right? So journaling, meditation, which is also something I thought I would never do.
Uh-huh.
Help, and affirmations. Oh, Bettina, affirmations. I create custom affirmations for my clients, and just depending on what they're going through. And when you get into that routine, especially to lock those in for at least minimum 21 days, what a huge difference that makes. So, and again, though, everyone deals with their trauma and healing different. It's a process that, some people need therapy, counseling, coaching, when you're going through this journey, you start with people, but sometimes you don't finish with them. And it's hard. It's so hard. It's like this whirlwind of, my gosh, to me, healing is something you do every day. Every day. Like even the smallest changes can lead to significant outcomes, So it's just, again, a work in progress, if you will.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I'd like to share some tips. You mentioned journaling, and one of the classes that I give is based on the methodology called Pathwork.
Yes.
Pathwork is a group coaching that was created by Eva Pierracos more than 20 years ago. I did 5 years of this group coaching, and I learned how to do the daily review. And what I teach my clients is it's super important for us to measure every time that we have an uncomfortable emotion. what happened during that situation. So while you're journaling, the first step, you have to write down the situation. For example, if you had a fight with your daughter, write down whatever happened. Oh, my daughter wants me to pick her up at school and I think she should go by bike, and we had a fight. She screamed at me, and you just describe the situation. The second thing you should do is describe the feeling the situation made you feel. For example, I felt unempowered. I felt that she didn't like me. And
Yes.
then you write down, how did you react it on this situation? In my case, just giving this example, I was trying to motivate my daughter to go by bike to school, and she wanted me to drive her. And then she screamed and said she's not fair. And then the way I reacted was by imposing my wish, saying, no, you will go and I don't want to talk about it. So I was
Right.
trying to show my power. So you
Yes.
describe the situation, you describe the emotion you felt, and how did you react it.
I love that.
Then you give a thought on, if you are calmer and more centered, what will be the ideal reaction for this situation? And then you can rewrite, oh, I could ask her what was her point of view, why she really wanted to go by car, not using bike.
Right.
And by reflecting on that, you'll be able to go back and address this problem in a different way. The first step, it's always to bring awareness to you. At the beginning, you won't be able to react the way you want it, but you see that you have the same patterns over and over. You're having the same reaction with other situations, like you
Yes.
show your power when you're challenged, in my
Yes.
case. So you see the patterns that are repeatedly in your life coming back, and you'll be able the next time not to react this way. And after
Yes.
a while, you'll be able to react the way you plan. So I really recommend you guys to try to do it. So let's recap. When you're journaling, you should describe the situation without any emotion. Then you write down the emotion you felt. Then you write down, how did you react it? And the fourth step is to write down, how would you like to react? And if you have a coach like Angela, you can go back and discuss these ideas with her, and then you're going to see the pattern you have in your life. And it's easy to get out if you're aware of it. That's why journaling is so special. Just one
Yes.
tip.
I love that, Bettina. That is, you nailed it. That's perfect. I'm so passionate about journaling now. I created my own journal for my clients because it's such a huge help. So I go back through my journals and I've written out goals I wanted to meet. And it's crazy. I've met 9 out of the 10 goals within such a short period of time. So it was, I even forgot I wrote that I wanted to accomplish these things. So yes, journaling is amazing.
And let's share here a little bit. How do you go? How did you manage go through this mental illness that you faced a period of your life?
Oh my goodness. Severe depression. I was diagnosed with severe depression and a bipolar disorder. This stemmed, of course, after having that loss in my life. And it was horrible. Again, I was almost functioning, right? So it didn't help that I was adding fuel to the fire by drinking, because that did not help at all. I thought the alcohol was helping me, numbing me, but it was just, I was waking up and it was still there, if not even worse. So again, there was that attempt on my life, which thankfully did not work. It was not my time. But to go through that, there's such a stigma around mental health, especially with women and moms. Like, we are just here and we're supposed to just almost be robotic. And that's not the case. And that's how I felt, very judged, like, oh, you're not doing this with your kids. You're not doing that with your kids. And I was exhausted. And being depressed is like this next level of exhaustion, where your brain could be telling you, well, get up, you have this to do, and your body physically cannot move. So, that was debilitating feeling to go through that and to hide it. as well, because you want to hide it, right? Because of course, there was, and especially back then, it was like, get over it. Oh my God, you're not over that yet? Get over it. What's wrong with you? You know?
Mhm.
So I'm very passionate about that, helping women who are going through struggles like that, because it's a horrible feeling, and especially to feel alone and feel like you can't share how you're feeling with people.
And what helped you get out of it?
Ooh, again, that was a conscious choice of, okay, Angela, you have this one life, you get one. And I've been living it like it was a dress rehearsal. Like I have another one I get to live. And that was a huge eye opener for me. My a best friend of mine passed away in 2016 from drinking. And even that didn't stop me. So choosing, hey, enough is enough. It was literally that I was so tired of saying I was tired. I was so exhausted from, saying I want a different life and complaining about it, but then I was doing nothing different to try to achieve that. So it was just like, you know what, Angela, it's time to put your big girl panties on and start and do it. And again, my journey is just my journey. What worked for me might not work for someone else. It was a lot of like isolating myself in a good way, because I just had to come and be okay being within myself, educating myself, learning, meditating, journaling, trying new things that I was completely uncomfortable doing, stepping out of my comfort zone, and just believing in myself. I knew who I was deep down. She's always been here. But now it's having that confidence to be here and show up as my authentic self.
And having a coach helped you out during this process?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm a firm believer. Every coach needs coach. Absolutely. It is an honor to be connected and to keep connecting with such phenomenal women. Even when I spoke with you, oh my gosh, I got off our call feeling so grateful. Like, oh my goodness, just the beautiful intelligence, the brilliance around meeting these women is amazing to me. Because again, if you knew me 10 years ago, no, wouldn't have happened. No.
And we attract people with the same vibration. I think that's
Yes,
why we got to know each other, and that's why we're working here today on this podcast. We are vibrating very high with enthusiasm and with empowerment, because we did the work ourselves, and now we're ready to share the tools to make other people happy, and also be their accountable partner. This is super important, to find an accountable partner.
absolutely.
Sometimes single moms have an amazing difficulty to run everything that they need, the house, the work. And part of your life, you were a single mom. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you handle all of this responsibility of, running a house and running the kids and taking care of everything?
Oh my gosh, being a mom in general is difficult, because this is a job that's 24/7, it's ongoing, and you don't get paid for it. So when you're a single mom, your workload just doubles. And when you have multiple children, and that's, I don't have a lot of regrets, but that's one of them. I was there physically for my kids, but emotionally, I kind of tapped out because I was juggling everything. I had to financially provide and be there for them. And you're being pulled in 1,000 different directions. And that can be extremely overwhelming. And again, it's that stigmatism. Well, you're a mom, suck it up. This is what you have to do, like, oh my God, get over it. And then you see these other moms, the birth of social media and the internet. Then you're seeing other moms like, oh my God, how does she do it all? She does it all. Then you're comparing yourself to
Uh-huh.
everyone else. And then you're beating yourself up secretly because you feel like you can't keep up. So I finally just had to let that go, stop doing the comparing game. I was me. I'm Angela. This is my journey. So it's okay to be exhausted, and it's okay to not have everything all together. And it's okay to miss a sporting event, or, it's okay to just not want to go to the park today. It's okay. My kids love me. I love my kids, three of which are adults now in their early 20s. And we're so close. And I'm so grateful for that because, again, life circumstances, it could have went a different direction, and I feel that them watching me be a single mom and do those things made them love and respect me more. So sometimes when I hear them talk, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
so it was hard. Oh, Bettina, it was hard, but very, very validating and empowering now to look back and see how far I've come.
I hear you. Yes. I think what helped me as a role as a mom is being humble enough to show my vulnerability because we are not perfect. And if we show our kids how we struggle, for example, when I need to go and give a speech, I tell my kids, oh, I'm so nervous. I'm going to be in front of a big number of people. I'm not sure if I'm confident enough to share this content. I tell them, oh, I have to sleep late and I have to study, but that's okay. And when I come back, and I showed them the satisfaction I had with, oh, it was amazing. People were very welcoming. I did some mistakes. It was funny, but at the end, it really brought the results I wanted. So sharing your vulnerability is huge. Whenever you're feeling sad, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling unmotivated today. I just wanted to lay on the couch. I didn't want to work, or
Yeah.
it was hard. I had a client who came complaining. It's the same thing for the kids. They have friends that fight. So if you show your vulnerability to your kids, you open like a channel for them to show their vulnerability as well. If you're showing that you're
Exactly.
perfect all the time, they think your standards are always high. They can never
Yes.
be vulnerable as well.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important. I never wanted to set unrealistic goals to them. I always wanted things to be very real and raw and open. My life is an open book. They know everything there is to know about their mom. And I love them. And I'm just, again, the gratitude piece of it all is a humbling experience for me.
I'm so proud of you, of all your change. You're really an example for us. I want you to share with our audience today a little bit about your 3 tiers of Embody Her, your programs, and also the partnership we made for every listener from our podcast, the discount they're going to get on your programs.
Yes. So after this podcast, I'm offering a promo code. So that is WWP10. So that's offered, and then they get 10% off any coaching services if they choose to sign up. And then I forgot what I had written down for you, Bettina.
Was 10% that you're giving to our audience. It's a
Yeah.
total save of 750,
Yes.
and
Off of
it's
each
related
package.
to your program.
Yes. And that's for anyone who watches this podcast. Yes. Because this has, again, coaching and being able to have this business it's my baby. Very, very important. And I want other women I want it to be affordable for women to come because, again, that ties into, I remember what it's like when you're trying to reach out for help, and what it's like when you feel you cannot access it.
Can we record this part again? Because I think you should explain about the programs you're offering and the discount they have.
Yes, I
And then you
lost
can tell.
myself there. Okay, good.
I'm
Okay.
going to ask again, and we will do this question again. You have to be very specific. Those are my 3 tiers of services, and I'm offering 10%, and you can tell them which packages are you offering
Okay.
10%. Okay, let's do this again.
Okay.
Angela, can you tell us a little bit about your programs? I think you have 3 tiers of Embody Her and the special code that you did for every listener from this podcast.
Absolutely. So my coaching, I do it off, like you said, a tier-based system, 3, 6, and 9 months. There are also other options available, but with the coaching packages, I wanted to make things very affordable for women. So after each listener with this podcast, there's a promo code available, WWP10, and that's offering 10% off each one of the packages, which is geez, like $750 savings off of each package, whichever one they choose to sign up with.
And also you offer a weekly newsletter. If they want to keep up with all the content you're sharing, they can go to your website and enroll on the newsletters. That's another option, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And you can also link that through my Instagram, embodyher.coaching.
Perfect. Everything that Angela said here at the end of our podcast will be on the description of this podcast. And I'm super, super happy to have you here in our podcast, Angela. May you multiply the happiness that you have in your life to all the souls that you're going to touch, Angela. You're amazing.
Oh my
Congratulations.
gosh. I'm sending all that love back to you, beautiful. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not going to stop the recording because
Okay.
I want to re-record the beginning so
Okay.
the person can help me out. Angela, can you believe I have a bird feeder here in front of me? Every time we were speaking, there were two big birds eating together. I just took a picture to share to you. They were here like tick, tick, tick. It's the same way we were talking. The birds were like tick, 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 tick. I can't
Aw.
believe it. So that means that we are really vibrating together, and it's a
Yes,
beginning of a partnership for sure in long term.
absolutely. I love that.
I wish you all the best with your programs. And if you need any help learning about technology, those are my strengths. I have
Yes.
an app that I launched with my program called Happiness Journey. I have
Yeah.
a CRM where I track all my clients and the social media and all the ads. If you need help structuring this technology part behind the coach
Yes.
work, let me know. We can schedule a session. I can give you also a discount. We can work on that for you. I will be more than happy to share everything that it's working for me with you.
I would love that because I have my podcast I want to start. So
Mhm.
you could be so beneficial. My gosh, your brilliance behind all of that. I would love to delve into your knowledge and expertise on that.
So what I have, the way I help people create podcasts, I do have a presentation that has step by step, what do you need to do to create a podcast?
Yeah.
So I'm going
Okay.
to share, I can do this presentation, explain you step by step, show you on the computer each tool that we use,
Okay.
and then you can apply this yourself. And I think the first thing that's very difficult is to configure the platform. We can do this together and
Okay.
create the first episode. This is the hardest part. So we
Yes.
need to work on your intro and the outro. That's the
Okay.
message you're going to say every beginning of the podcast, every end. And
Okay.
the planning, what topics are you going to write about? How they connect with each other? Who should I invite? What are the papers I need to prepare when I invite someone? The questionnaires and everything, how to automate this process, and then
Okay.
create the first episode. You find
Okay.
someone you want to interview, and then we will create the opening, the questionnaire, and the call to action.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so
Because
excited.
it's hard to do the first one by yourself. I had help,
Oh
and it was
my
an
God.
amazing having someone holding my hand. So I can do this with you if you want.
I would be honored. Thank
And
you.
I can also share, I think the CRM is key, for you to keep up with your clients. If you're very active on social media, the
Yes.
CRM where you can send text message and you can interact on social media and track everything, it's super important.
Oh, Bettina, I need you. Yes, because I am not tech savvy at all. That is not a
Mhm.
strength I have. It's not a strength I have at all. So that'd be
And once
amazing.
you grow, if you have an assistant, if you have the CRM really well organized, you can have templates over there. You can have, everything. And then you can have someone helping you. For example, I participated yesterday in a networking meeting. I was presenting in the networking meeting. We had 25 people presenting. 25
Wow.
people participating. After I finished the meeting, I had an Excel spreadsheet with all the names, their emails, phone numbers, what they shared at the beginning of the meeting, and an email ready to send for them with a personalized message. I just sent this for my assistant, and she uploaded everything to my CRM and sent the emails. I don't have to do anything. So I
Oh,
had
amazing.
1 hour of a networking meeting and 15 minutes to organize that. I got everything done.
Oh my God, incredible. Oh yes, I need you, Bettina.
This is super
I need that
important because
guidance.
time is what we're selling. So if you're not
Exactly.
efficient with your time,
Exactly.
it's hard to have the quality of life that we want.
Ex- well said. Exactly. Should I just send you an email to like set up a time to talk, or like how do you want
No,
to
I
do
can
it?
tell you what's my availability and we can see if we can find a time to work together.
Okay.
And I can be honest, my session lasts 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
It's 75 minutes and I charge $275.
Okay.
The hardest part is to find time.
Yes.
But for example, this week on Thursday, 4 p.m., I just had a cancellation. And then this coming Thursday.
Guess what I'm doing Thursday? I think I have a client booking with me on Thursday.
Yeah, if you're available. If not, we can talk maybe in September 8th is my next
September.
availability.
Oh, you know what? That's perfect, because then my little man will be back in school. So that's perfect. Yeah.
So I have an availability September 8th at 3 p.m. I don't know if this is good for you.
Yeah, September 8th, 3 p.m. because I haven't booked anything yet for the first 2 weeks of September. So I know that's open.
September 8th. What would you like to focus? You like to focus on the podcast first, or you like to have an overview of all the tools that I'm using and choose which one you want to use and begin the podcast?
I think yes, because I want to know everything. So when you know what, I'm going to leave that up to you, because yes, I want to start the podcast, but there's so much knowledge that you have and expertise on things I need, and especially around the technology side of it, because I'm not tech savvy. So I'll let you guide me in what you feel we should work on first, and or second, however you want to guide it.
Okay, so I will take some time showing you the CRM, how we work. My AM card, that's a relationship tool that I use as well to send cards through the mail for everybody.
Okay.
I can show you all the tools that I use for the podcast, and then we do an introduction on the podcast.
Perfect.
And then you decided, oh, this is good for me. I want to use this. I don't want to use that. And I can explain about the process of having the ads on social media.
Okay.
How do you add in a landing page? How do you convert the landing page, the phone calls to a booking strategy? The lead conversion on how to do that for clients that you grab online. And then if we have time, we will dig into the podcast.
Okay. Amazing. Well, then we can also schedule another session another time as well, right? If we don't, excuse me, get into finish everything in this one, or do you? Okay.
Could be the following week at 3 as well, if you want, September 15th.
Yeah. Well, I'll see how the one on September 8th goes and what we get finished, and then we can go from there. Okay.
Yeah, it's better. It's better because then you need some time to prepare the podcast strategy. You prepare the first episode, and then we need to schedule. Maybe it's better if we have 15 days in between one another. So you have a lot of time to prepare the things, to log into the tools and use the tools. And if you have questions in between, I will be there for you to answer. But I want you to be in high speed like I am.
Yes.
And I think by sharing this, it was a big learning curve the past 2 years, how to use all those tools. And it's easy for me to show the path, and then you learning by yourself.
I am so grateful. Thank you so much, Bettina. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to Wisdom Woman Podcast. To hear past and future episodes, please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast channel. We appreciate your reviews. To give us suggestions for future show topics, please write to us at podcast@witty.tech. If you're interested in having me as your trusted advisor, schedule a strategic coaching session on my website, www.wity.com.